Good evening, everybody. My name's Jim Pizzey, and I'm the Technical Director at HVXL. And I have been working on the updated PlansXpress software, PlansXpress 2023. So I'm going to talk you through the changes that we've made and how they link into Estimator Express. Just before I get started, a little bit about the software that we're using so that you can watch this. You should find a question section within it. So if, as we're going through, there's something that I'm not making complete sense over, or if you want some more information on a particular point, please send a message to me through that questions page, and I will try to glance over to see if anybody's sent anything in to answer them, and then also at the end of the session, any general questions that you've got on PlansXpress, we can cover those off too. So I believe today's session is scheduled for an hour. I'm not sure we'll run quite that long, but we will see. Okay, so let's dive in. So this is PlansXpress 2023, as you'll see from the name at the top there. So the first thing to say is that basically the new parts within this, the focus is on walls. Now, if any of you attended the Estimator Express webinar that I did a couple of weeks ago, you'll see that we've completely redone walls, and we've boiled them down into a calculator for a single leaf external wall, a double leaf internal wall, and then a single leaf internal wall and a double leaf internal wall. So they're really replacing lots of these other options that we've had for many years, brick and block, brick and ICF, brick and SIPs, and so on. So the reason that we've done that is to make them much more flexible and allow you to more easily change to different specifications of wall from an estimating perspective. But the benefit that has had for PlansXpress is that we've been able to do things such as better texture, better default textures for the different wall types, and also the ability to put parapets on the top of walls. And I'll show you both of those things today. So this is what the menu would look like. I'm imagining that most of you watching here have got PlansXpress 2022 and will be upgrading and installing PlansXpress 2023. The software is out, by the way. I believe that you'll either have received an email today or it may be tomorrow that it's being sent. But the software is available to download. The whole of the 2023 range is available on our website through the support section. And if you click to the software updates, then you'll see that there'll be an update for each piece of software. The major changes are Estimator Express and then the impact on PlansXpress. The other software packages in the range are more about compatibility with the 2023 range of software, so that it can all talk to each other. But yeah, so if you go to the website, you can download the updates. The software isn't gonna, normally the software will let you know when you open it up that there's an update available. That we haven't turned that on yet. So we're gonna do it in a more, we always do it more slowly when there's a big release of software. So yeah, there'll be an email with download links coming in the next day or two. Otherwise, as I say, you can go to the website and as long as you remember your ID and password, you can download those. Okay, so how did I get there? So I was saying that presumably most of you have PlansXpress 2022 installed, and this is going to be when you then install the update. This is how the menu will look like. So you've got these two new items at the top here in the external walls menu, and then you've got all the walls that you'll be used to from your existing software beneath it. And the same with the internal walls. We've got the two new options of the single and double leaf, and then we've got the old walls down there. So we've done that on purpose so that if you've got existing drawings that you started with the old walls, we want you to be able to finish it off and then transition to using the new ones at your own pace. But once you're ready to make the change, there is an option on the settings menu. There's a button been added here, View Legacy Menu Items. So if I untick that and click OK, then once it's reloaded the menu, so now you'll see it's a much smaller list of items, and this is the menu that you'll get if you install the software on a new computer. So just wanted to point out that setting was there, and you can turn it on and off as you please. But I will keep it with just the new options in. It's just a bit easier and a bit tidier. So before I go into those, I'll just show you the other options that are still there. Obviously, the wall starters and the toothing in, making allowances for those. Retaining and basement walls, we haven't produced an updated version of a wall estimating calculator for those, so they're still the same. Similarly with sleeper walls and garden walls. Brick piers. So the new walls do have the ability to price for piers, but they won't automatically be shown within PlansXpress. So if you want to show their exact placement in Plan, or if you want them to appear in a 3D visual that you're doing, we've left them in there so that you can do that. But yeah, just be aware that you don't not to price for them twice. So I would suggest pricing for them using the new calculator, and then if you're drawing brick piers for the 3D, just set those to non-estimated. Okay, so let's go into one of the new options. So instead, so they operate a bit differently. So instead of one of the old ones, you'd select the calculator and then you'd have dimensional templates to pick, and it would go straight into a dimensions wizard. So with these new walls, you just get one option saying choose wall specification. So I'll briefly go into the double leaf and show you the new types in there, and then we'll go into the single leaf, and I think I'll pick one of those to draw. Okay, so within the two leaf cavity wall, there are a number of new wall types. So brick and timber frame, for example. So yes, you could get at a brick and timber frame wall, but you'd have to draw, in the old software, you'd have to draw a brick and block cavity wall, but you'd have to convert the internal leaf to a timber frame. So a bit visually, obviously it's not going to look any different to a brick and block cavity wall. But yeah, if you're using PlansXpress in conjunction with EstimateXpress, so if you're using the software to get an accurate estimate of what you're designing, then yeah, it's a lot easier to do now than the multi-step process before. And then we've got a clad block cavity wall. So again, previously you'd have had to have drawn a rendered block cavity wall, then allowed for the cladding if you wanted to estimate it, and also override the texture to get it to look like it was clad. So again, those multiple steps have been removed by this new option for a clad block cavity wall. And then we've also got a rendered block and SIPS wall, so that's a new one. And then rendered block and timber frame is a new option. And finally, I think these were all there. The stone and timber frame again is there straight away for you to pick. So I'm not gonna draw any of those. I'm gonna go into show you the single leaf external walls. So quite a few of these are new, as it were. So a clad block solid wall. So if I just click into that briefly, so this is these are timber clad and externally insulated single skin walls. And then the clad SIPS is new, the clad timber frame. A rendered block outbuilding, so that will so the outbuilding as opposed to the solid wall, so the outbuilding will not be insulated and I believe it won't be plastered by default. So if you drew one of those on you'd see the render on one side of the wall and then you just see I think just blocks on the other side, as opposed to the rendered block solid, which will have external insulation, will have plaster on the inside. I think the rendered ICF and SIPS we've had before. Rendered timber frame is certainly a new one. So I'm going to pick the clad timber frame wall because that wasn't one that you could really get to very easily at all using the 2022 version. So I'm going to select that, and you'll then see the next stage after picking the wall type is that we get given a long list of different specifications of walls to pick. So I'm going to use the filters at the top to drill down to a more manageable list, so I don't have to read all of those. I'm going to say I need a new build. I'm going to say I don't want it to be garage walls, and I'm going to pick a strip foundation. So there we go, that's much more manageable now. So I've got 5 of the cement clad and timber clad walls. One if you're using a subcontractor to supply a timber frame kit, and one for if you are constructing the timber frame panels yourself. So I will make a selection. And the next stage, so this will be similar. So this is about picking the dimensional templates. So this list is pretty much the same as you've seen before. So I'm going to pick a ground floor 2.4 meter high wall. What is different is that we've got a separate list for what's going on below the DPC. So I can say no foundations and footings, or it's a raft, or it's a shallow strip foundation, or it's a trench fill foundation. So now we're into the main body of the dimension wizard, and the first page is about the specification of the wall. So this is it's mostly for the estimating side if you're going to import the drawing into PlansXpress, but it also has the selections that you make are going to be impacting both the hatch pattern that you see when the wall's drawn in plan, and also the textures, the textures that you see on the walls when you look at it in the 3D window. So I've got, just to briefly look at what we've got set up. So I've got a fibers cement interlocking cladding there, and you can see if I click on the drop down, there are lots of different external finishes to choose from, and you can take one of the walls that we've set up and then adjust it to be suitable for your needs. We've got 150mm timber frame panel with then plasterboard on the inside and decoration. The next three items here you'll see are for parapets. So if you have a parapet, and I will be drawing one to show you how to do that, because it's slightly different drawing a roof for parapets than a normal roof. So it's got the internal finish is a silicon render. It's that same 150mm timber frame panel coming up for the parapet, and the parapet capping is set to aluminium parapet coping. So I'm just going to change that over to a natural stone coping, and then the specification of skirting boards and the brickwork below DPC, the DPC and the foundation. And as I say, changing these changing the external finish will affect the texture, how you see the outside of the wall in 3D. Changing the structural leaf will change the hatch pattern of that leaf of wall. And then if we were to have done a two-leaf wall, you'd obviously have your external leaf and your internal leaf, and changing each of those would change how it looks visually. Instead of next buttons for the dimension wizard, we've got them as tabs at the top. So I'm sure the first few times you use them, you will click through each one anyway. But once you get used to it and understand what's on each page, then I'm sure you'll just dip into the ones that you need to change. And what you see along here will be different based on what you pick for your specification. So I'll just briefly go through a few of them, just the same as the previous versions of software. The yellow boxes are highlighting things that are going to change how something looks within PlansXpress. The white boxes or non yellow boxes in this example, they're things that are just estimating data only. So obviously the height of the wall is going to affect how it looks in elevation in 3D. The thickness of the wall is obviously going to affect how it looks in plans. So yeah, the timber frame tab. So this is all estimating data with regards to the timber frame panel. On the parapet tab, so I've got estimating data about the parapet timber frame panel, but the dimension I'm interested in is to set the height of the parapet. So I'm going to set that to 300mm, and then the foundation width. So that's all similar to what you'll have seen before. And then the footings, so you've got the splash course depth is a yellow box because it affects how it's drawn in elevation. And then finally, there's an estimating page because we selected to have cladding. There's some estimating inputs on board or sheet cladding there. So if I click OK, so I'm just getting a message pop up telling me that although the parapet capping is being estimated for, is being allowed for, if you take the drawing and import it into PlansXpress to price it up, it's not going to be there visually in the 3D. So I'm going to show you how you could put parapet capping on using one of the 3D architectural symbols. So that's just warning you that don't worry, it is being covered in the estimate. You're just not going to see it visually. Okay, so I'm ready to draw my wall. So nothing new in this process. So I'm just gonna draw out the shape of a building. So I'll go across 12 meters I'll come down 8, left 4, up 2. And then, as I'm sure you all know, if I want to square this off, if I want to go across and up, I could just press the S key on my keyboard and it draws those last two walls in for me. So this dialog that's popped up now, this is slightly different to how we've dealt with additional estimated items in the past. So instead of having something separate that you then have to draw, with the walls, we've got additional wall estimating properties that that you can effectively enter into any of those walls that are just walls. So walls that I've just drawn. So I'm going to pick the first wall drawn. So that was that first 12-meter wall. And if I select that, so it goes back into the wizard, but it's showing me a slightly different look at the data. So these extras are what it's showing me on the specification tab. And without going into too much detail, because I covered this in the PlansXpress webinar, which is available to watch back if you weren't able to attend that and you are interested in the new features from an estimating perspective. But this allows me to have, so I've selected a what was it? It was a clad timber frame wall. So I could say, well, although it's mostly a clad timber frame wall, I've got a different area of, I don't know, brick slips or cedar cladding or render for a certain part of it. So that if I pick cedar cladding, for example, you'll see that this new tab has appeared at the top. So I could have different areas of external finish. I could have if I needed a different structural leaf behind that. So for example, if you had a brick wall, but then you had some areas of cladding, then you might want to do block work behind the cladding and then fix the cladding to that block work rather than use bricks. So that allows you to have to say most of it's made of brick, but this particular area is going to be made of block. And similarly on the inside, so I could say, well, I need an area of tile backerboard, because part of this wall is going to be in my bathroom and it's going to be tiled floor to ceiling. So I'm gonna add an area in of tile backerboard. So I could pick that, and maybe you need a different decoration on that. So I've now got two tabs appeared, because I've picked my cedar cladding and my tile backerboard, alternative external finish and alternative internal finish. Now, if I were to add an area in here, I can enter in, say, it's a vertical band of a different type of external finish, or it's a horizontal band of a difference, or it's just a random I don't know, 2 by 2 meter rectangle. And then you can say whether you want to use that alternative external leaf, or the same external leaf as the main wall. Now, I will stress that this is just for estimating purposes. So even though I've said I've got cedar cladding in a 2 by 2 square meter area, it's not gonna draw that in the 3D. You won't visually automatically be able to see that. So these items are purely for to make sure that you're estimating it accurately, and you need to do something else to show it visually. the 3D if you're also producing a nice 3D model to give to your customer. So yeah, so the type of things that are on here, other than that, are if you've got a random area that you're leaving unplastered, and a length of wall that doesn't require skirting boards. So maybe you've got a room along the wall that doesn't need skirting boards. You'd enter the length there. Obviously, it's, you know, if you put the openings in, it's not going to put skirting boards across the doorways. So yeah, that part's automatic, as it always has been. On the timber frame side, you know, you tend to come into one of the walls and just make an allowance for the number of days of crane required to do all the panels, rather than, you know, do them one by one and say, well, it'll take a half an hour to do this panel and or this wall. So yeah, you can go in and make allowances for that. So I'll click OK to that, and then I'll just cancel that dialog now. So if you need to get back in there, incidentally, if you click whichever button it is on your mouse that brings up a menu, so there's a setting. So for me, it's a right click. So if you hear me talk about right clicking, it's possible for you that it's a middle click. So you know, but a lot of people with a scroll wheel, you click the scroll wheel down and that brings up the menu. But yeah, there's a setting on the settings tab to change it between one and the other, and probably what you learnt the software on is the one that you're still using. So yeah, I like to have my menu on a right click, but yeah, when I say right click, think middle click if that's the one that it is for you. So within this menu, I can go to edit additional estimating properties to get back into that dialog for this wall that we were just in. But also, if I double click or right click and say modify, that will take me into a combination of the two wall wizards that I've seen. So it's the height of wall, thickness of wall inputs that we first inputted, but it's also the area left unplastered and length of skirting boards and alternative external finishes that we did in the second one. So yeah, there are effectively three different views of the estimating data. One before you draw the wall, one immediately after, as just showing the additional estimating properties to consider, and then one view with all of them together. So yeah, so I'll click OK. Okay, so I've got my walls drawn, and if I just go to 3D, you'll see I've got clad walls, and on the inside here, it's not plastered all the way up because I've told it that I had a 300mm plinth. I assume is its thinking behind that. So now I'm going to put the roof on so that we can actually see. Sorry, parapet, plinth. So that we can see that parapet. So if I'm just going to pick a cut roof at 45 degrees. So okay, so if you're drawing a roof to go with parapet walls, the yellow boxes on page 2. So I'm going to have parapets all the way around. You may only be having eaves parapets, or maybe you're only having gable parapets, or maybe you're just having it on against one wall. You'd need to be a bit more careful than I'm going to be as to what you're zeroing out and what you're keeping. So because I'm drawing parapets all the way around, I'm going to say I don't need any soffit width to gables or to eaves, and then I'm not going to be drawing barge boards So I'm going to zero those two things out, and I'm not going to be drawing fascia boards, so I'll zero those two things out. And then if I just click through, there's one other yellow cell there, tile overhang beyond fascia board. So again, I'm going to zero that out. Okay, so I will draw a section of apex roof. And yes, it will be a rectangular section. So when you're drawing a roof for parapets, instead of drawing it to the outside, so if I was doing this with a standard roof with soffits, I'd draw from the outside corner there to the outside corner down in the bottom left there. So I'm going to draw from the inside now. So I'm going to first click on the inside corner, the top right, and I'm going to come down to the inside corner at the bottom right. And then I'm going to move my mouse to the side to show that the ridge line is running left to right. And that's then, as you'll see in the 3D, it's placed the roof on the inside of the wall, and it's carried the parapet walls up from there. There are a couple of new items at the bottom of these roof additional items. I'll just place my my other roof on before I quickly touch on those. So I'll right click and say draw another roof, and I'm going to do another section of apex roof. So again, inside dimensions from there, just got to hold my mouse over there so that it snaps to it, and then I can come up and make sure that I draw that large enough for the valley to be formed. Okay, so I've now got my roof placed. It's put my parapets on because when I drew my walls, I told it to put a 300mm parapet on. So yeah, this long list has got even longer by a couple of items. So if you need to, again, if you're using PlansXpress in conjunction with EstimateXpress, 2 items at the bottom are for doing a box gutter, a lead box gutter. So and this item has been there before for valley box gutters, but now we can actually do as it's shown in the picture basically. So I won't go into detail on all the estimating properties, so I'm just going to draw that. So I'll just get my justification right. So I can then go and place it basically along wherever I have eaves. So I'll go in again, another section, draw it there, and finally once more, and I'll put that along the back of the building where I've got my eaves parapet there. Okay, so for completeness, I should go through and draw in flashing on the same lengths, but I'm gonna skip that for now. So we've got our walls in, and I'll just briefly show you if I zoom in. So the 300mm that we set for the height of parapet, that is this internal dimension. So it's the height from the top of the tiles to the top of the parapet to the bottom of the parapet capping, I should say. So that's the height that we set and has been drawn. You'll notice I'm not seeing anything as to where I've just drawn my gutter there, box gutter. So if you want to show that visually, I can go to the non-estimated 3D symbols and the box valley button. So if I set my width of valley to be 250 and click OK, I can then just click on the edges of the roof that I want to visually put one in for. So if I just click on all of those sections and then right click to say I'm done, so you'll see then it's now showing a box cutter visually there for those areas. Okay, so the other thing that and again, this is purely for if you want to beautify the 3D to show that to your customer. So I want to put that parapet capping on because at the moment it's just it's not really showing anything too great as on the top of the parapets. So I can use a 3D symbol and place that on top. So just a little bit of prep work before I start placing them, because I'm going to need to know lengths and heights. So I will draw an elevation of the front of the building. So I'm going to pick this wall, and I'll go out the front, back past the ridge line, left and right extents, and then I will place this down here somewhere. Oh, didn't quite go low enough, did I? So let me just move that down a bit. Okay, so I've got an elevation of the front there. So the reason that I did this is so that I can just check on the heights of the walls, so the heights of the points that I need to place my parapet capping. So if I go to drawing an annotation, I will put one dimension there, one dimension to the top of this gable. So you can see it's 3 meters and 52, 3052 mil. So at first looking at that, you might think, well, hang about, we've got a 2.4 meter high wall and a 300 mil parapet. How does that add up to 3052 millimeters? So the missing piece of the puzzle, as it were, if I just go back into the dimension wizard, so on the general tab, so we set 2.4 meters high DPC to wall plate, and then the 300 mil high. So this was, instead of being from wall plate up, we're setting it from effectively the top of the tiles up. So we're saying that internally, visually, that will be 300 mil. So the software is calculating the height from the wall plate through effectively the roof structure and the roof covering. So their properties, when we set up the roof, it asks you for the thickness of the roof structure and the thickness of the roof, any roof covering. So that's basically what makes up the difference between the 2.7 meters, as it would be 2.4 plus 0.3, to get up to a little over 3 meters. So it's the thickness of that roof. So I just wanted to explain that, just so that you're not surprised when you get it into Estimator that the wall isn't the height that you thought that you'd entered. Okay, so a couple more dimensions that I'll need. I'm just going to measure from, oh no, not that point. Yes, that point. So from the end of the wall to the inside corner there, I'll measure that. And then I'm going to place one there, and then I'll do one going up the gable just to show you how we would do that. So I'll take that dimension. Okay, so from those dimensions, I should have everything that I need to place my parapet capping. So non-estimated 3D symbols and 3D architectural symbols. Okay, so within, just make that a bit smaller, within the 3D architectural symbol library, if I scroll down on the left down to the bottom, there's a section called walls/fencing. And if I go in there and scroll down, eventually I will find a flat coping for sloping and horizontal wall, it's called. Okay, so I'm gonna place one on here. So 8150. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna have a 25 mm overhang from the wall. So I'm gonna call it 8175, and I'm just gonna draw it 175 wide. And then the height to the inside of the coping. So this is the height of the wall. So this is the 3052. So I'll enter that for both ends of it. So okay, so it's asking me what layer I want to put it on. I'm just gonna put it on the untitled layer for now, and then I get a length of coping that I can place. So it doesn't give you the greatest point to place it. It's the middle there. So I'm just gonna plonk it down, and then I'm gonna grab it again to move it. So I'll place it, I'll select it, and if I right click, I can say move selection, and I'm going to take the top right corner, and then I can place that. I can then easily snap that to the to that back corner there. So you see now I've got my stone coping has been placed in the correct place on top of that wall. So once you get going doing it, it's a lot quicker because I press the button again. It's taken me back into the same place with the same dimension set up. So I just need to adjust what I need to adjust. So this is going to be a 2 meter length. Same layer. So again, I'm going to place it in a random position, and then I'm going to move it. So right click, move selection, take that corner and snap it onto there. Okay, so I've now got my two sections, and now I'm just going to do one that's coming up the gable. So back into the 3D architectural symbols. So this time I want that to be 1850. One end is the 3052. The other end, which I don't think we can still see, the other end was, let me see, 4902. Same layer, and then I'll place it there and then move it into position. So again, move selection, grab it, and plonk it down. Okay, so I hope hopefully you get the idea. From a few dimensions, you can work your way around. And it just so happens that I have a finished example here that I can flip to show you. There we go. So that took a look took a little bit of time to work my way around, but that's it's perfectly doable if you are looking to produce a nice 3D representation of that. Okay, so that is that's what I wanted to show you about how to draw walls with parapets and the adjustments to the roofs that you need to make. So that's really the main new items within PlansXpress 2023. So I will just just show you the different wall types internally. So in the single leaf internal walls. Really, the main new item is a timber frame wall. And again, yes, you could get the effect by drawing a block wall and converting it to timber frame. It's just a lot easier to select it and only have to draw it once. On the double leaf internal walls, quite a few of these are new combinations. So you could do an internal block and ICF wall, a block and SIPs, a block and timber frame. That was an existing wall type. And we can have a timber frame party wall, so two different leaves of timber frame. Okay, so just the other item that I'll briefly show you. So if I were to go back into the wizard for any of the walls, so if I click to modify that, and if I change the external finish, so instead of my cladding, I could pick a clay plain tiles. So if you go in and change it, that's then going to update the texture shown in 3D. Similarly to in PlansXpress 2022, if you select the wall and come to the Properties Explorer, you've got this wall external texture. So you can come in here and you'll see that's the tiling that's been set. So, you know, if you wanted to, you could go over and you could pick something else. So maybe I want my wall to look like a manhole. Not quite sure why, but so you can still do that and override it to whatever texture you like. So, for example, if our more realistically, if our cladding texture wasn't correct for the cladding that you were using, and you wanted to pick a different texture, you could go in and do that. Just be aware that if you then, having done that, if you then go in back into that modify menu for the wall where it's set to a, you know, it's set to something that has a texture. If you come back in and click OK, you're going to lose your changes, so it's going to go back to my tile texture. So yeah, you can still it's definitely much nicer that the software is giving you a more relevant texture for the selection made. You can still override it to make it even better for your needs, but yeah, just be aware that if you go back into that wizard, it will override any changes that you've made. Okay, I think that is pretty much all that I had planned to show you. So if you have any questions, please do send them in. Let's just have a look. So somebody asked about whether about doing multiple finishes on an external wall. So hopefully I okay. So for example, brick up to window sill height, then cladding the rest of the way up. Okay, so let's think about that. So yeah, if you let's see. So if I went into my additional wall properties, so from an estimating perspective, you would select you could select your alternative external finish. So rather than try to hack at that wall, let's try and draw a separate wall, and see if I can do that. Brick up to windowsill height and clad the rest of the way up. So Okay, so let's start with a brick and block cavity wall. I'll just pick any old wall, and I'll leave that as it is. And I'll just draw a section of wall. I can then go into the additional properties. So from an estimating perspective, you'd come in here, you'd say, right, I've got a different external finish of so I could type in cladding, for example, and it would filter just to the cladding. So I could pick my whichever cladding I wanted. So I'll pick a timber cladding. I could say that, yeah, I'm not going to have brickwork behind it, so I'm going to type in block to find a suitable block, and then I could come into my alternative external finish, and I'd say it's a horizontal band, so it's going to be the length of the wall, and let's say it's going to be 1.4 meters high, so maybe it's yeah, without knowing the exact dimensions, I'm saying 2.4 meter high wall. I presume I selected. So the first meter will be brick, and then 1.4 meter will be cladding. So, and I require an alternative external leaf for that. So that's dealt with it from an estimating perspective. But it still looks like a brick wall in 3D. If I go into my wall external texture, this is where I believe, and you have to forgive me because I haven't used this feature in a long while, so I might be there might be a lot of umming and ahhing as to how to do this. So this allows you to change the texture. So if I add a second one, then so one of these is allowing me to, okay, so I can override this top texture. So let's find cladding, and I'll put some cladding on. So, okay, so the bottom is set up to be a meter, then the rest of the wall, I've got a cladding texture. Let's click OK to that. And hopefully, yes. So yeah. And now I'm absolutely amazed that I've remembered how to do that. But because yeah, I probably haven't used that feature since it was introduced, and I tested it 2 or 3 years ago. So yes, that is how you could, if you wanted to do a wall that was one construction to a certain height, the other above. Yeah, it's that multi-step. In the DIMS wizard for the estimating side, and then with the override for to get the textures done. Okay, so the only other question that I can see somebody sent in was just whether about a link to the PlansXpress webinar. Let me just quickly see if I can find it to send it to you now. Otherwise, I'll ask that it's emailed out to everybody. So not entirely sure where our webinars are posted. Let's just see if I can quickly find them. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it quickly. But yes, I will ask that everybody that attended this webinar is also sent the PlansXpress webinar to fill in the blanks of when I didn't go into detail on the estimating side, because yeah, So within the PlansXpress webinar, I spent a lot more time going through the different options from within the wall dimension wizard, and also you'll so something that that Joe on support was asking me about today. Within, if you want to set up your own specifications of walls, so obviously if I let me just go back in. So we've got so this list of specification is obviously all of our data. You're able to set up your own. So the example I think that he gave was that he'd set up a wall that was just external a layer of external insulation, and then finishes on top to be used to if you needed to externally insulate an existing wall, and he then saved that as his own wall specification. So if you can create your own wall specification within PlansXpress. So if I just go into the main wizard here, so from PlansXpress, not only can you change within these drop downs, but each one has an edit resources button next to it, so you can drill right down and change on a product by product basis. Save that as your own item. Save this whole wall selection as your own specification. And once you do that in Estimator, that will then appear for you to select and use within PlansXpress. So yeah, it's very flexible in that obviously we won't have covered every eventuality that you're going to require, and maybe there are certain things that you need over and over. So yes, you can set those up. It will feed through to plans, and yeah, you can then use it up front. So long and short of it is, I don't have the link to the PlansXpress webinar, but I will ask that you are emailed that through as well, as I'm sure you'll get a link to the recording from today, for any of you that just can't wait to listen to me talk again. Okay, so if nobody else has any questions, I will end it there. There we go. I said it wouldn't take a full hour, 58 minutes. That's good estimation for you, isn't it? Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Please do go to the website, and oh, that's something I could show you. I'll quickly show you how to get to them. So if I bring my my web browser over here, so if you go to the support site help.hbxl.co.uk, then you can go to software updates, and then each of our software packages now has a 2023 page on it, so you can go and press the download button, and then be asked for your user ID and password. So hopefully you'll have written those down from when you installed the software on your current computer. Otherwise, yeah, you can give us a call if you don't know your ID number. I believe there's also an option to, if you've forgotten your oh, actually, yeah, there's a help page to help you find it. You can find it within the software if you've forgotten your ID, and you can reset your password if you've forgotten your password. So yeah, hopefully you can self-serve that and get the updates downloaded and installed. So yeah, so either to get here, either type in help.hbxl.co.uk, or from the home page, if I just go there, I believe there'll be a link at the top. Um, there used to be a link at the top. Right, let's see if I can find it. User zone. Got to be there, surely. Oh, there we go. User zone latest releases, straight there. Okay, so yeah, hopefully that will help you get updated. Like I say, if each of the there are significant changes for estimator and plans. There are less significant changes for health and safety contracts and project expert. But if you've got them all, you need to be on the same year's worth of software for them to talk to each other. So if you're going to install PlansXpress 2023, you need to install EstimateXpress 2023, or you won't be able to. Or if you try to import a drawing saved on 2023 into Estimator, it will say, I can't import that. You need it to be the same version as I am. So yeah, just be aware that if you're going to do one and you use multiple software packages to talk to each other, then you need to do them all. Okay, so I will leave it there. Again, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the new updates. They've been it's been an awful lot of work to do them. There's very lots of very clever additional bits in there, and added flexibility. So yeah, hope you get the benefit, and it saves you even more time to get your estimates done and your plans drawn and beautified. Okay, take care. Goodbye.